yeah, I'm game. I mean, Christ, dude, there's so much to get into since I left New York and lived in a car, and now I'm down here, and the things I've seen and witnessed across this country during all of this. And then
it's fucking crazy.
I think also just to be in this fucking place, dude. Like, I don't know. The energy here is fascinating with having Joe Rogan here and also having Elon Musk.
Well, hold on. Save all that. Save all that.
Okay.
Right,
okay.
Perfect.
Sorry, I got talking too much.
No.
It for the pod.
We're podcasting before the podcast.
Right.
No.
You're right.
All right.
I'll stop talking.
All right. Perfect. So let's get into it.
Yeah, man.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the False Prophets podcast with Phil Risden. I am Phil Risden. Like you guys, have seen me say before, this is the third episode of the newly renamed False Prophets podcast. Before it was Drop and Give Me 20. The reason I stopped and changed the name from Drop and Give Me 20 was I felt like things became too serious. You know what I mean? I felt like things became too serious. It was too contingent on the 20 minutes. The reason I changed it to False Prophets is because we're going to be talking about a lot of big things, but it doesn't matter. We're always going for the joke. Okay, people, we're always going for the joke. We're always having fun. I want to shoot from
never.
Fuck that shit. All we're doing, we're going for the joke. And if we are talking about a serious issue, we can tackle any issue, but just know that you might follow me, but I might not always take you to the right places. That's where the title comes from. And the reason I have our next guest on is because he is a person who I kind of think he's a modern day prophet. And that was actually one of the name of one of his old comedy shows back in the day. And, it makes sense. It makes sense. If you know this guy, he's very heady. He's hilarious. He's always willing to shoot for the hip, but he still has the facts, which is honorable. And I love him. You're going to love him. He has a great show called The Tim Warner Show. Give it up for Mr. Tim Warner, everybody.
Hey, Phil, dude, first of all, thank you. That was a beautiful introduction, man. And thank you. And thank you. And
don't even worry about it.
Yeah, that show was it was Modern Day Philosophers. And it's
got it wrong already.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. We're talking the same language. But the reason why I called it that is because in a sense, like not every comedian, but the great ones, they are the modern day philosophers. Comedians, they observe, and then whatever they observe, they try to translate to people the same way that fucking Socrates and whatever else. They view the world in a way, and if they, in a sense, I don't want to say do it right, but if they do it well, it gets you to think too, as you laugh, and that's, yeah. So I love the title of your show. Like it's great. And I am a false prophet. So
that's the thing. It's like, I talk a lot of real shit. Like I like getting serious, but I like having fun. But the whole thing is that I'm just another human being. I know literally nothing. I dropped out of fucking school. And even if I went to school, I'd probably be even dumber than I am right now. You know what I mean? And it's all about just like talking real shit, talking about how you feel. And like I said, it's like, dude, I have a way with words and this, that, and the third. You might like what I say. It doesn't mean I'm always right. We're just here to have some fun and have an open fucking discussion. So I want to talk to you. You're living out in
which
Austin,
is rare
Texas.
nowadays.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is rare.
It's incredibly rare. I mean, that's kind of why I picked it. I was just like, I want to go and be the fucking person who I'm allowing everyone to be inappropriate. You know what I mean?
Good.
Say
because
full open discussion.
Like what was it recently? There's this idea, this draft, this memo about Roe and Wade, and there's a lot of
you heard about
pro-life. Oh, certainly. Yeah. Living in a car, I'm still somewhat. I have pigeons that come and drop off fucking news to me with little ankle things and whatever else. So I'm still in. Those are my tweets that come from birds. But here's something that I just thought the other day was really funny, because there's a lot of pro-life people, that are coming out, whatever, and it makes sense. I understand it. But they call themselves pro-life, and they want to bring people into this world, but they want to restrict them from actually living life. So how pro-life are you? Are you more pro-ego than you are fucking pro-life?
Well, they're not pro-life. They're pro-control. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's just,
and they're pro
it's just
maximization of the poor population, because that's really all it is. Abortion will never be illegal for rich people. It's just illegal for poor people, truly, at the end of the day. You know, a rich person can fucking go and, you know, go some back alley place, but it's like the highest end back alley place ever and get shit done. A fucking poor person is just going to keep coming in his wife, and they're just going to have multiple kids. And now there's somebody to work the assembly lines.
Military. And they keep making a better military.
Exactly. You know, until
you're not going to see Chelsea Clinton fucking or whoever else go overseas, and you're not going to see Barack's kids fucking fighting in Afghanistan or Ukraine. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's gonna be Jose and fucking Todd.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even. Well, yes, it's gonna be just Todd Mondesi fighting in fucking Ukraine. Hey, these fucking white people are crazy, man.
They're killing each other.
He's gonna bring UGG comedy show to fucking Ukraine. I can't wait for it.
And it'll probably save the world.
But you know what's crazy though? What this thing is, I was thinking about it the other day with the whole Roe v. Wade. I can't believe we're getting into this like so quickly.
Yeah, I don't know why I just brought it up. You said something about like unfiltered or something, and I was kind of
fuck it. Let
me open with something rough, and then
let's fucking go for. This is how I know you're good at YouTube, because you're coming out swinging. You're just bashing the viewers over the goddamn head.
But
all they needed to hear was Roe v. Wade in the first 15 seconds, and they're like, I'm in, you know?
But it's necessarily not even bashing is necessarily as much. It's just like, you know, when you get emotional, and I understand emotions, like I get it, but it does sometimes blind you. You know, like there's a reason why it's called blind rage, for example. You know what I mean? And like even if you're depressed, or I mean, especially after the fucking goddamn last 2 years, which in my opinion probably had to be worse for you in New York than terrible. It was for but the thing is,
I wish I had a car to live in. I'll tell you that right now.
yeah.
We all did.
Yeah.
We all did.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, dude. I just the psychological effect and you know, there is this notion, I feel, that as a majority of people are coming out back in the world, the attention thing, I think, is like, I don't want to say, look at me, but I don't have a great vocabulary, and I don't know any other way to say it. But I do think it's like that, like, that's why I think you have, you know, like Chris Rock getting slapped by Will Smith, and then you have someone tackling Dave Chappelle. There was a woman, I think, the other night that ran up to a fucking UFC cage and whatever, and got just drilled, trying to get into the cage. You know what I mean? Security guys, boom. And I really think that there's like this, because we were somewhat so isolated. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, all right, I'm gonna get serious for a moment.
No, there's a need to be seen. There's a need to feel significant.
Right. I mean, do you know how they punish? Do you know how they punish prisoners?
Yeah, they put them in the hole.
They put them in isolation.
It's only you for 24 hours a fucking day.
Dude.
Yeah, it's insane.
So, how do I make this funny now? God damn it.
But I think to even go on top of that, though, I think it might have made it even worse with, you know, our isolation in a way, because like when a prisoner is isolated, all he gets is that box. But instead, we were isolated, and we had a television giving us this window into this bizarro alternate universe of chaos and bloodshed and fires and riots and you know, rape and murder and all sorts of fucking things. And it just plays in their head. It's like like Clockwork Orange, just, you know, just fucking.
Yeah. Welcome to the Jungle video where Axl Rose is just sitting there all in a straight jacket. Yeah, dude. It's just like fucking 16 TVs. But here's the thing, and I'll say this. Look, I left New York election day, and I've been living out of a car, traveling the country. The most part, I've been in Austin, Texas last year. And I'm going to say this, and I understand I am a straight white male in America saying this.
Well, in that case, shut up right now.
Right, certainly. You know,
this podcast is over. What? I've never koala.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything, you know, and I'll say this. I really think they show us 95% of the time, 5% of the shit going on.
Sure.
That makes you think it's happening all the time.
Yeah. I can agree with that. I mean,
For the
media,
most part, dude, people like, come on, man. For the most part, dude, people just they want to put food on the table.
Yeah.
They want to have a little fun, and they want their kids to be happy. For the most part,
that's true.
all this other shit is such a minority, but it's shown so much that, like, the thing with COVID was, like, you had, dude, your neighbor. Like, there was no race, there was no religion, there was no culture, there was no country. There was everybody could be a villain.
Yeah.
Watch out. And man, that is, again, that's a frightening psychosis to have to go through and being told that it's happening.
Well, I think,
again, when you go out in the world and you travel around, it's like, it's not really like that.
But I think this is, like, you're saying that's a frightening psychosis, but I think that's the psychosis that America has been trying to build, I think, pretty much since it's existed. This constant fear of your neighbor. We have come up from a country of immigrants, and you're always fearing the next person moving in. There are other places, not to say that chaos didn't descend in other spots, but America itself is a gun-toting, my property is right here. Here's this line. Don't step past this line. You know what I mean? And then we have this COVID thing where it causes habitual line stepping. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Charlie Murphy. But it's 2 years full of habitual line stepping. So things just get crossed and they get passionate, and there are already things that were fucking ramping up. I mean, you were saying that people just want to live their lives and do shit, and I agree with that to a point, but I think because of those race, problems that were going on before and that have always gone on here, once things did get isolated and once the streets were empty, I think in some ways a lot of those things got worse because there's no one there to really sit and judge you. You know what I mean? I know out here, like, race problems got fucking insane. I mean, like, those George Floyd fucking riots, dude, there were actual cop cars speeding down streets trying to mow people over. Because they're so in their fucking head, they're isolated at home watching their fucking, thin blue line bullshit, and thinking this is a fucking game like it's goddamn Terminator. You know what I mean? So I think there's two sides to both of it. But I think, again, it's just with what happened with the pandemic, this is just America's chickens coming home to roost. It's the society that we have built, and it's a society that's built to constantly keep going. There's so many problems, but they make you focus on work, and they make you focus on the other, which distracts you from how shitty your life is, But when work and the other are now gone, now you're just sitting here and you're fucking angry. And not only are you, like, pissed off about the other, but the other is now next door to you, and he could get you sick. He could kill your fucking kids without picking up a gun. Without being Mexican or black. He could just exist. Now, so there's this whole other fucking level to it that I think just got fucking crazy. But I wanted to bring this back to Roe v. Wade. Because I got cut off a bit. No, it was a sick tirade. This is what I'm here for. Right. I fucking love this. This is tremendous. But I wanted to bring it back to Roe v. Wade because we're getting deep down the rabbit hole of America fucks us all in the ass. What I think, with this Roe v. Wade thing is, in this weird way, again, it is about population control because in America and in a lot of countries too, there's a complete decrease in birth rate and how many people are having children. You know what I mean? And pretty soon it's basically like, imagine it like a pyramid. Like before, things used to go like, you had the 20s up here, and you trickle down, you had the, 60-year-olds up here, and they're the smallest piece, and it would trickle down and be people in their 20s all the way at the bottom, fucking having children. Now it's completely flipped, where there's more people who are going to be senior citizens in the next, 20 to 30 years than there are going to be young people having children. And eventually there's going to be this labor gap here, and not just here, but almost globally. I mean, like it started out in Japan, where if you hear about what's going on in Japan right now, like they're just like finding old people dead in their houses because they smell them, because there's no one to take care of them anymore. All their children, all their kids don't even fuck. You know what I mean? They don't have anybody, and just people just die off alone out there. And this is what's going to be happening globally. So I think there's some of that, and just obviously them wanting to bump up the workforce. So what do you think about that?
Oh, it's all part of the fourth industrial revolution.
Okay.
If you're unaware of this, there is, as you probably heard throughout the whole fucking pandemic, the World Economic Forum.
Okay.
The World Economic Forum is basically world leaders and fucking billionaires around the world. It was founded by, I believe, John D. Rockefeller and a gentleman named Claude. Oh yeah, wonderful person. And wait till I tell you the name of the guy he founded.
Okay.
Klaus Schwab.
Really?
Klaus Schwab.
Perfect.
Yes. Bald guy, Lex Luthor looking motherfucker.
Of course.
The whole thing. So
the
fourth industrial revolution is basically, man, we've had other quote unquote revolutions like the industrial revolution and whatever else that changed like economy and life. So these people believe that we need to go through a fourth industrial revolution because of internet and technology and how many things can be advanced. Like the things that they want to implement, and it's in books. Like he wrote a book called The Fourth Industrial Revolution in 2017. And they're talking about like, and they even have percentages of what these billionaires and world leaders think this will happen. So it's like, for example, 2025, there's like 86% of these people think we're going to have smart tattoos because necessarily people won't take a chip, but everyone loves tattoos right now.
Oh my God.
So if you got a smart tattoo that can help you, because the thing is, in a way, we all are going to be integrated in a way into machines. We have come from computers that take up like a whole floor.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
To these tiny little
like
fucking...
the old Batman TV show. They had the whole fucking huge thing. And now, and then they went to desktops. And then they went to laptops.
Yep.
Then they went to tablets. Now you've got the phones that are basically a fucking computer. Eventually, dude, that is going in us.
So can I ask you,
for example, some of the early steps of that is like an Apple Watch, for example. That's like kind of the beginning of having technology in us. And if you look at things like nanotechnology, if you look at like even, dude, there's ways that we're helping fucking blind people be able to see, deaf people being able to hear. You know, even things like limbs and whatever else, like, Star Wars and like Empire Strikes Back.
Of course. Yeah, with Luke Sand and shit. Yeah,
dude, eventually you're gonna like either we kind of get downloaded in a way, or we become a machine over time through repair and et cetera, et cetera. It's extremely possible.
No, but I've heard that for a long time. And my question to you is, how do you necessarily feel about that? Because I think in the future, you're right. It's really one of two possibilities. It's only going to be, it's just a matter of time. So it's either we start having AI do everything for us, and eventually, you can watch a million movies, read a million books by actual scientists and shit, and they say that that's eventually not going to work. They're going to take over, or we become one with the machine. And yes, there is a part of me that's like, that's scary, but there's another part of me, like you're saying, where it's like blind people being able to see, deaf people being able to hear, things like that. And
like, having something in like a smart tattoo, for example. One of the things I think he pushed in the idea was, let's say like you have fucking first hour stage cancer. There's a belief that goes out to your doctor and whatever else.
Yeah.
because they picked that up. Like,
See,
wow,
but something like that,
that seems fucking amazing, right?
yeah.
But
I'm not
at the
necessarily
same
against
time, I think to answer that, this ain't gonna be funny. I apologize, but to
No,
answer
it's
that,
fine.
dude, it comes down to like life purpose. I think it comes down to, and I can't believe I'm saying this in a sense, but like a God,
Yeah.
or whether it's universe, it doesn't have to be like the Jesus necessarily, but
No, but becoming one
like,
with like energy.
why,
Yeah.
but why are like, and I don't know the answer, but why are we here? Why are you, Phil, born at the fucking time you are and you leave at the time you do? Why am I, Tim, born at the time I am and I die when I do? And why did I witness this? And why did I try to experience with it and share it? And how, why? Why? If there's all of this time, why? And I know that gets into a bunch of fucking deeper shit, whatever, and can make your mind spin, which I don't know if I necessarily want to do, but it's something like that, man, where I don't know. I understand how people cannot believe in God, and I'm one of them. Like, that has been written, but I will say, I think there are some really great morals, themes, whatever else in the Bible.
Things to keep you grounded.
Not all of it overall, but like, that's the answer to that. Because like, I think there is a purpose to dying. I think there is a purpose to having limited time here. It makes time important.
Yeah.
If you could never fucking die, you would watch all 50 seasons of fucking Sesame Street. You know what I mean? Binge it. Yeah, what do I care? I'm never gonna like. I think that matters. Like,
but then there's
I don't know.
But then there's
tough. It's tough.
But then there's that possibility that through eternal life, or not even eternal life, but very long, exaggerated, like long life, that we could see things like Sesame Street and all those things as futile. You know what I mean? And you see things as TV shows, celebrity, all that stuff as futile after a while. Because you're thinking about it, like, you're like, if no one can die, then probably nobody's being born. And then through the lack of new generations, how is our culture gonna change? Because our cultures keep changing, but mostly in superficial ways, where it's like, we wear these clothes back then and now we wear this. You know what I mean? But once we all start getting on that same level, like, imagine, we all get integrated, right, at 50, right? And then 100 years later, we'd probably still be into our normal human shit, this, that, and the third.
No, I think everyone would be their wonder years.
Okay.
So whenever you're 12 to 17, like, in a sense, dude, I kind of wear the same style clothing that I did from 12 to 17. I still kind of had the same haircut from fucking 12 to 17. I still listen to the same music. And granted, I was spoiled. There's a lot of great shit, but like, I listen to the same music from when I was 12 to 17. It's just the wonder years, dude. That's just what you kind of end up becoming. Whatever true, because that's when you're the most influenced. That's when your adolescence really is when you really start shaping your thoughts and opinions and your style and who you are. You start gaining an identity. You're not just like your parents' kid. All of a sudden you start being yourself. And because people perceive you in a way, then you take that data in and blah, blah, blah. And I think that resonates, throughout your life. Like, I guarantee you, if, you talk to some people I went to high school, whatever else, without a doubt, they would be like, oh, dude, he's still the same.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. That's the same kid.
Yeah.
So, I think that's what you would have. You would have a bunch of wonder years walking around.
That's fair. Hold on 1 second.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm seeing them. Hold on. We might have to pause for a second. 1 second.
Okay. No worries. Dub and laughter. It's the only problem getting too deep. You just fucking, the punches get harder.
Well, no, I mean,
but if you actually hit one, it's fucking amazing. But it's kind of hard because it's just like, it's such a deep thought that doesn't necessarily have the weird, scary, hard, stupid kind of
but
angle to play.
But I think
it's fascinating. I think this shit's just fascinating. I don't worry about it and whatever else, but I am curious. If I'm lucky to be there, I am curious about like 2025, 2030.
I'm insanely curious, but I wonder, like, there is a part of me. I mean, I've always been somebody who's, very into like science, futurism, stuff like that. Not even really just full on sci-fi, but really actually understanding the laws of like the universe and this, that, and the third, and where people, scientists think we're going to be going in the future. So I've always been excited about this stuff. And I think there is an angle to it where you do get a bit worried by certain things. Definitely. I think the first period of people that get like smart tattoos and shit like that, I don't think there's going to be a very, very hard learning curve. There'll be like rioting in streets. There'll be all sorts of shit. But I feel like 200 years after that, everybody will be integrated, like no matter what. And I think there will eventually be some sort of, it'll kind of cause us to revert in a way culturally. I think once we do start having so much physical time here, I think number one, the constant need for men primarily to always stake their claim to things, I think that comes from fear of death. I think that's something that'll possibly subside.
You think it'll be like the last day of Groundhog Day?
Yeah, I think
eventually
things will come back around.
Like people will do like the Bill Murray thing where they'll like try to kill themselves and then whatever else, and then eventually it's like, you know what, dude, I want to play the piano. I want to learn how to fucking make an ice sculpture.
Yes.
I want to figure out how to get this girl to love me and like whatever else.
And because no one like has to die.
You would just get bored of being a dick.
Yeah, you'll just get bored of being a dick.
People will get bored of being an asshole.
Yes, and so we'll eventually just break off and learn.
But how long does that take? I mean, there was a 300-year war.
Centuries, my friend. Centuries. But but when
it
does,
interesting.
We'll all be in white robes in a drum circle. You know what I mean? Transcending into pure energy. Like I think it could take centuries. It might even take a millennia. But because of that technology, it'll allow us to do that. And because of that technology, that time will eventually feel like seconds. You know what I mean? You hear, you watch any of those movies with like immortals and shit. A year doesn't mean anything. The older I get, a year feels like a day. I can only imagine when I'm 3,000.
Right. That's because of the repetition.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like you've seen a certain number of Januaries, and then eventually, like you've seen enough Super Bowls, you've seen enough Final Fours.
Yeah.
You've seen enough Thanksgivings where it just seems like, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this again.
Yeah, but I think again, it's like that. You got to imagine, like, I think again, the integration, it'll kind of make humanity act as if they are one complete whole. We are one complete whole, but it'll actually make us into one organism where, thinking about this with like me or you, yes, sure. We are who we were when we were younger.
Yeah, but as long as I don't have to hear everyone else's thoughts.
That's true. I feel you.
If would there be a constant vocal Twitter going on in my head if we're all integrated in one? So you just hear like everybody's fucking chatter. Like I'm trying to think of that Jim Carrey movie where he was God and he heard everyone's prayer. Yeah,
that would fucking kill me.
Is that going to be right?
I mean,
if we're all integrated.
I don't know.
Because eventually, dude, if like, for example, if it's in a sense, if the concept and idea of a cell phone gets integrated into people, wouldn't you, in a sense, be sending texts or whatever, like telepathically?
Essentially, yeah.
So why wouldn't you end up hearing, unless you put it on airplane mode, I guess maybe, but wouldn't you just hear everyone's thoughts?
Yeah, I have no fucking idea. I'm definitely getting do not disturb for the chip in my eyeball. I'm telling you that right now. I'm definitely getting the do not disturb button. But I don't know. It could end up like you're saying.
Funny, but
no, I think that's annoying because I hate when people call me now. Like, don't try to fucking FaceTime me. Can you imagine if somebody FaceTimes you in the year 3000?
Yeah, but it shows up in front of your eyes. It's not really a screen because you're wearing
like cancel that call.
You're wearing these Google contact lenses, so it's like boop, you could see. I don't know.
And you can't act like you're not home. It's in your fucking head.
I don't know. Having a reverse people like that Seinfeld episode. Dude, I don't know how I feel about it because there's a lot of beauty to it, but it's like, I don't know. I wonder what, Neanderthals thought of Cro-Magnon.
That's what I'm saying. I feel
like
there
had to be a point where they kind of meshed together before they completely evolved. And it was like, according to whatever they've written about it, right? So what was that like?
And
what was the racism then? I guess I do think they killed off all the Neanderthals eventually.
For the most part.
Just dumb,
yeah,
right?
Pretty much. And and they were competition and shit. But I feel like, also.
Where was the hashtags then?
Fucking nowhere. On a cave. In a cave drop.
Hashtag Neanderthal lives matter.
Yeah, right. Hashtag no more spears.
Yeah. Oh, good for you.
Fucking crazy. But I'm saying, like, I understand your fear, but there's always, there's always been people kind of fearful of like new technology. Imagine being in the first industrial revolution, where they're like these fucking these smokestacks, what the fuck is this? Like my kid work in a factory, he should be working in a field. Like like God's children work, you know what I mean? Like all that type of shit. Where is this world going? So, things boil over. There's all sorts of fucked up shit, and then they settle down, and then they boil over again. And I'm wondering if, because so much of humanity's needs will be completely and utterly met, what will happen? Because they'll be met. Like, because right now our needs.
I just don't think people are gonna read.
No, but you also wouldn't have to. You could just share information.
Well, I guess I guess.
I don't
know. I see that disappoints me.
Yeah.
I understand where it's like in the Matrix or whatever, where it's like, hey, I gotta learn how to fly a helicopter.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think there is I still read books. I don't read nookies or whatever they're called. Or
I know what you mean.
Something.
I have like actual books that I hold and I read.
Yeah. And I think there is something when it comes to using your eyes and taking in the information that way instead of like an audio book and whatever. I just think it's, I don't know. I think it's, I don't know, maybe a lost art.
All right, guys, we're back. Sorry about that little cut off. I know we were on a rant. We got deep into it. But Tim, what were we talking? We were talking about the singularity. We were tackling that issue. Before.
There's something about people's voices. You could hear every tweet.
Yeah, every tweet and all that shit. Yeah.
That'd be a bummer.
We were talking a lot about that, but I want to bring it back to the ground. Let's get a little grounded here, and because Tim's a great guy. I've known this guy for about maybe like 10, 12 years by now. It's been a long time now. It's been a really long time. So, can you tell these people a little bit about you? Like where you grew up and all that shit.
Oh yeah. I grew up in Syracuse, New York. That's just in the heart, in the middle of New York State. And then 9/11 happened. And I moved to New York City because I knew the rent was going to be cheap. I lived in New York for fucking 19 years.
Well, what made you want to step into comedy? Were you doing comedy in Syracuse or?
Oh God, that's a great question. All right. So a lot of people
let's
ask
go
me,
deep into it.
As a comic, you probably get this question too. But it's when'd you start doing comedy? I get that a lot. When'd you start doing comedy? Of course. And my answer always is when the sadness began. But it's because comedy was a defense mechanism.
Of course.
I would either even little things as a kid, you watch Bugs Bunny and Droopy the dog, Tom and Jerry, all the cartoons, Looney Tunes, all that shit. And yeah, I laugh at that, or I make my friends laugh being goofy. And that was the defense mechanism. And then also I would say, dude, I was fucking spoiled. Like we were talking about Wonder Years earlier, whatever else. My Wonder Years, dude, I will fucking stack up my Wonder Years to a lot of other like generations Wonder Years. I will do that. Like I got to see Michael Jordan and Kurt Cobain. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like Tupac and Biggie. Fuck you. You know, like, and that's just.
All I got was MapQuest. You know.
Right. right.
Yeah,
so the thing was, cable television was kind of becoming a thing in a sense. So one of the cheapest ways to do a show was to put up fucking 14 comics, do 2 shows, whatever else. You tape it, they're in front of a brick wall, and then you put it up for half an hour. So there was just an abundance of fucking comedy. Like I remember like MTV had half-hour comedy hour. VH1. Yeah. I can't remember what it was called, but Rosie O'Donnell hosted it. There was also obviously like Friday night stand-up on NBC. HBO would have stand-up specials, comic relief. Like every,
let me ask you this: what was it like to have so much comedy going on television and to have everyone care? Because now I feel like there's tons of comedy, but because of social media, everybody's attention is just so all over the place. No one really cares. Like, before it'd be like, I saw you on Star Search, and you'd get a fucking sitcom,
certainly.
Or you'd be like minimally famous,
Well, that's because the medium has changed.
Yeah.
But how'd you say what you just said again?
Well, I was just like, how did it feel to have so much comedy out there, like in the media, and have people actually give a shit about it? Like, your life can change.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think people care. Okay. Mm-hmm. But the thing with social media is there's, for example, like I can't remember what it is, but Nancy Pelosi did something drunk or whatever she's doing nowadays. And there were senators on Twitter or whatever that put out tweets that were fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's like you're starting to see, because one of my beliefs is, in a sense, that like all comedians, I don't give a fuck who you are, 10% funny. Yeah. And what we attempt to do is take that 10% funny and make it look like it's 100%.
Yeah.
So go on stage, always be funny. So now I think you're starting to see like the office worker in the whatever else. Yeah. I do think people care because, like, for example, there's got to be like podcasts, shows, music that you're into and you watch those things. Like it's no longer like people aren't necessarily watching comedy or caring about comedy, but they're caring about Tim Warner. They're caring about Joe Rogan. You know what I'm saying? Because like we're a brand, we're LLCs now, dude.
Let me rephrase the question, I guess. What is it kind of like to have it's not just people care, but like, all right, for instance, like right now you're talking about like people care about Tim Moore, and they do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes. We each have our little things, and no matter if you're small or not, you could, you have a podcast, almost no one listens to it, but you have 20 people that listen to it. Those are 20 people that give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I just always wonder what it was like to kind of like right now, to get people to care, you have to do so much more work. That's what
but that's because there's more things.
Yeah.
So like what you're talking about, like with Star Search and whatever else, but that was also a time when there were fucking 4 or 5 channels.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it's like the chance of someone who's watching TV and see you is going to be 20%.
Yeah.
And then if everyone's got a TV, then like those could be astronomical numbers. Yeah. Now you've got, I mean, not only TV is dying and it's turning over to apps,
Yeah.
and like I pay attention to football just because I think that's where America, in a sense, is going to go. So if you look at like the recent NFL TV deal and how much it was,
our brains turning to mush and us murdering our loved ones. Is that where,
yeah,
is that where America's gonna go?
they're going to forget everything like Biden.
Yeah.
So, but that is going to, the next TV deal, you're going to see like Paramount Plus, you're going to see Netflix, you're going to see like television and just even how things are broadcasted, dude, are going to be changing. And the thing is, people do care. Like the example I would give is the difference between the sports talking head shows where, you got two people yelling at each other, right? And then you have Pat McAfee on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's the future.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I think so.
They live broadcasted during the draft, and they had like 150, 250,000 people watching. And it was entertaining, dude. They had sketches that they made, and like it was fun. It was better than watching these people go, well, I don't know if they should have picked that guy from Nebraska there. It's not one of the best. I'm very surprised to see that this quarterback hasn't been picked. And it was just, it was great. And that medium is fucking dying. So you have the thing is, there is just such a huge amount of things out there that it is harder to have people notice you. But when they do, they're in.
Yeah.
And so in a way, I don't think it's any different. But again, you got to give something of value.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was my next door neighbor returning my cat to me.
That's great. That's great.
He leaves me all the fucking time. I leave the door open for 1 second and he's fucking out of here,
Oh, hilarious.
I keep him around though because I have daddy issues,
Good for you.
I'm like, this means he loves me. He might leave, but he'll be back.
Hey, some lady in London just married her cat so it wouldn't get evicted.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
that's the truth.
There are worse people than me then. That's good to know.
Yes. The cat actually I guess meowed the vows. It's a very, I don't know if it's a beautiful story or utterly frightening, but it is fascinating.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like I just feel like I agree with you. There's the people who fuck with you and everything, but I feel like, and I'm kind of torn.
It is a value.
You
have to give value.
There is.
I'm not saying you don't. It's a general you, but I'll see like a lot of comic podcasts or whatever else, and they don't have the notoriety yet and whatever else. But you have to build something from zero. So I'm not trashing anyone, and I'm not doing that amazing as well. But but I'll see them talk about themselves, like their day, like going to the grocery store.
And it's like nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. Why am I watching? What is the value that you hope to give and bring to an audience? Because again, time is the most valuable commodity on the fucking planet. And if there are people out there willing to share your time, dude, that's priceless. Like if they're going to sit there and watch a fucking 45, 50-minute fucking YouTube thing, like that's amazing with all the shit going on. You got to work, or they got kids, or they got maybe someone got into an accident. There's like, or they're having problems with the job, or who knows what's going on in their life, or it could be great and everything's well. They're worried about inflation, whatever, but they sit there and take the time. You got to give some fucking value.
No, there's some credit to it. Yeah. I think it's cool. Go ahead.
That's where people care, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I don't agree that people don't care. It's just, it's a different kind of care now. It's more individualistic. It's the top of the pyramid instead of the bottom. Where again, I love comedy. So every Friday night, whatever else, I'm going to watch this comedy show on NBC.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And then eventually it's like, okay, I'm going to watch George Carlin on HBO.
Yeah.
Like it changes because again, dude, we're LLC. Like Tim Warner, I'm an LLC. I'm not a comedian. I'm an LLC.
Yeah, that's true.
And I have a lot of spectrums and I have a lot of things. Hopefully, overall, I make it fucking funny at the end and everyone's having a good time. But like at the same time, there's just more to me, you know, as there is to you and whoever's watching and whatever else. Like we're people, dude. And what the great thing about where we're at is people are being people. And that, like, again, they're getting away from the roboticness of television and they're turning to shows and people that the energy it's just they're being people, whether it's like Russell Brand has a great thing on. It's just him being him.
It's awesome.
He talks about serious shit.
It's really great.
He puts it together well. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
No, and I agree.
Not necessarily being funny the whole fucking time on that, but it's like it's just great and it's engaging and it gets you thinking. It gives you value.
Yeah, I mean, I do get that, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I feel like I don't know. It's with the way media is right now. It's almost like a like a high end shit sandwich. You know what I mean? So it's like you got the beautiful brioche bread, right? You got the farm fresh greens, you got the, cage free fucking turkey, the amazing fucking tomatoes. They're so juicy, but they're still right in the middle. There's just turds. You know what I mean? Because and what I mean by that is like, I feel like in this way, because of the internet, and it's the good and the bad, because you do have the people like Russell Brands, you have, the Joe Rogans, you have, DJ Academics, who's on the hip hop type stuff. You have these people that these people will like rally for, but at the same time, there's just so much insidious like bullshit that goes on online, where it's like with Twitter, it's like people don't like. That's why I think so many like actors and stuff and like writers and this, that, and the third get canceled for random shit. It's not because of what they've done. It's because now nobody sees any value in what they're doing because everybody thinks they can do it. You know what I mean? Nobody thinks writers especially anymore, because now I'm on Twitter. I write this and I got a couple likes off that, so I can do it. Nobody values photographers anymore because we have Instagram. You know what I mean? And this is the same thing where and no matter what, listen, I love the things that I do, so I'm never going to stop doing it. And I think some of those people who say this person's not shit or that person's not shit has some merit to it. You know what I mean? But the whole concept of everybody thinking that they can do everything now is just a little bit much to me. That's the one thing that loses me. I'm like, everybody thinks they're so great, and it's like, you're not. You're fucking not. I don't, and like, you would even be great if you just, or I might let you think you're great if you were actually like working to do something, but you're still not even fucking doing that. And all you're doing is picking apart the people that have actually sat down to do something. Like I was on Twitter, right? And I'm fucking reading some long thread some guy has, which is my first mistake. Okay. Yeah. I'll acknowledge that. I'll acknowledge that. All right. Right here. But I'm reading, the sadness machine called Twitter. And this guy, he's talking about how bullshit Batman is, right? And, basically the same thing, which has merit to it.
Wait a minute. Which one? Which one was he talking about?
All of them. All of them.
Every single Batman? How dare he?
All the Batman movies are shit. They're dog shit.
Unbelievable.
But then, he's putting his political spin on. I know you're being an asshole, but he's putting his political spin on. And he's like, oh, the dude's rich, blah, blah, blah. And then he basically like, says like, this is how you should write a Batman script. It goes through the whole fucking thing. Plot point. And he's getting like thousands and thousands and thousands of likes and retweets and all this shit. And a part of me is like, yeah, that's great critique, but also like,
and guess what?
Dude? Write it.
Jerry Springer got a lot of ratings.
yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's true, but he didn't have people on who thought they were intellectuals.
Dude.
That's the issue. It's like, if you're a fucking dumpster fire of human being, be a dumpster fire of a human being and be none the wiser, or admit that you are a dumpster fire. But stop thinking you're an aristocrat. These people think they're intellectual aristocrats. It's fucking disgusting.
But here's what's great.
But it's entertaining.
Eventually, right. And it's entertaining because of that old kind of adage of it makes me feel better about myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So what's great about that is if you take that, I don't know, need or that want, and what if you actually gave them something fun instead of like, oh, I got to feel better about myself compared to these people. Well, what if I could help you? Or like, what if watching a show makes you feel better about yourself without having a fucking retard or a cousin fucker or like whatever else, some breakup, people getting into a fight, fucking mud wrestling. Like, you know what I mean?
That's the reason I made this podcast, is to reach out to people like me who think those feeds are dumb. You know what I mean?
And that's another beauty is, and that's another beauty is that you can do that instead of just, you go up in front of a whole TV audience, whatever else, dude. Like, the thing is, in order to do what you want to do, you only need like 1,000 people to be on board.
Yeah.
And you're golden. You're golden. So that the fact that, like, how did Comic-Con become what it is now? Because of all like some stupid MySpace group. Or, you know what I mean? Where now all these people could get together, not just in San Diego, but in like Norfolk, Virginia, and fucking Minneapolis, and in Des Moines, in New York, and everything.
Well, now that you brought up, I will say that the state of Comic-Con is so sad. Everybody's hot there now. I fucking hate it. I used to go to Comic-Con when everybody was ugly. When it was real, when the people cared about the storylines, Now I'm fucking, I was selling t-shirts at Comic-Con like 2 or 3 years ago, doing one of those giant rack towers where you got to get the fucking t-shirts. And I'm like, everyone here's hot.
Either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. And that's what's happened to Comic-Con.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Is that a quote from one of those Batman movies that sucked?
Yeah, that's fucking awful. See, and also too, dude, but also it's like, I wouldn't have looked at that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't have put the energy into that. And granted, I used to.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, I don't know. One thing that's really helped me is having the fucking Tim Warner show, because I think about that a lot. And I think about, what can I do? How can I make it better? And it's not necessarily like, yes, there is that idea of like, how do I get more people to watch? But it's not like a snake charmer or like I'm trying to scam you in. But it's like, I really think I have something of value. I really think there's something there to offer. I think it's funny, and it's only going to get. I mean, we've done 5 of them, and it's only going to get better.
The views only get better. I have noticed that, man. It's
right, and yeah, but it's not that like, how do I get more views? It's just, I know there's people that will enjoy it. How do I get them to see it? And that's the challenge. And again, I think you put something out there, dude, people are going to share it. There's a reason why something goes viral. Like, it's not just that it blah. No, you hit a nerve, you hit a vein, and fucking someone shared it, someone else shared it. Like, all it takes is one share.
Yeah.
You literally could have someone, dude. You could have The Rock or fucking whatever else. Who knows? It could just happen. You could do that nowadays by tweeting at him or like writing in the thread, and maybe he fucking actually looks at it like you sitting there looking at the Batman guy and whatever else. And then the next thing you know, you've got fucking, I don't know, 500,000 fucking new followers.
Yeah.
Like, it's all it takes. And
that's true.
That's the beauty of it. You don't have to sit and hope a fucking agent comes in tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you're your own agent.
You can, in a sense, man. Yeah. You could do something from your place and have someone see it and be like, dude, I like this. Maybe I could do this. How could I help them out? That's how it happens. And it happens from the energy, the fucking vibe you put out, and just all of that. And I do think after this fucking goddamn psychological warfare that's gone on in the last 2.5 years now, I think people, yeah, dude, people are sick of like the negative. You know, I think they're sick of not just Fox, but CNN.
Yeah,
Not
all of it.
and the ESPN guys and Shannon and Skip. And like they're done with that. And it's not that I think that people necessarily want truth in a way, because that would fuck up their heads, but I do think they want real. And going back to that Jerry Springer shit, like, hey, maybe some of them are actors, maybe they weren't, whatever else, but it was the notion of like, this is fucking real.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is banging his sister, like her sister, whatever. Like, this is, and he's married to someone else. Like, what the fuck? Oh my God, this is real.
That's fair.
But people like real. Like, again, man, you know, you said people don't care. I disagree. I disagree. I think they do. It's just everything takes time. Everything takes time. It takes 10 years to make it overnight.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I will say that, you know, maybe saying people don't care is a bit much. I would say, you know, there are plenty of people that do care, but the people that don't care are so loud and visceral about how they don't care. But they're also appealing to their own audience as well, too. It's like everyone's playing their own show.
Right.
And I think that's what kind of annoys me, is that if you're going to like, there's still like, I'm in this weird line between like old school and new school, where it's like, if you're going to do a show, do a fucking show. Stop acting like you're you, and then you're trying to put on this weird little fucking thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No load management.
Yeah. It's like, I miss the days when people knew they were trash. You know what I mean? When deep down in their fucking heart of hearts, they knew they weren't worth shit. You know what I mean? And they're just like, whatever. And they'd still be cunty at a bar and this, that, and the third, but it was whatever. But now there's like this weird form of like power that they think they have. And then sometimes they actually do end up gaining. And you're just like, this is ridiculous. But, you know, then again, there's probably someone who thought, whoever was president back in the day was a dumbass too. I mean, you know,
right.
You know, George W. Bush was like draft dodger and a piece of shit. There's somebody at a bar talking about how he didn't deserve to be there either. So,
right.
You know.
Well, I think the internet, and it kind of goes back to the reading thing I was saying earlier, but the internet kind of makes it, because you can get information. You type something in, you know, Google in half a second will show you fucking 900 links or whatever else. And so I think everyone wants to be right. There aren't necessarily discussions anymore. It's just people proving their side. Like, you know, I put up some shit the other day. I forgot what it is. Oh, but the basic idea with the Roe versus Wade, it's like everyone's playing a pointing game. Oh my God, this is Trump's fault. This was Obama's fault. This is Bush's fault. And it's like, the intruder is in your house.
Yeah.
And you're standing there going, did they get in through the window? Was the door open? Did someone let them in? And it's like, hey, dude, that guy's raping your wife.
Yeah.
And if he knocks
how did he get in here?
According to what the government does, you're not going to be able to abort that then. So I would worry about the intruder at the moment, and then let's figure out how the fuck this happened and try our best to make sure it never happened again. But everyone wants to be like, God damn it, Trump! And I'm telling you it's Trump. And it's like, no, it's just stop. There's a problem, and everyone wants to play the point. They want to be right, and there's not necessarily discussion. It's just people trying to prove a side, and that you're not learning.
It's the
right.
fucking
You're
worst.
You're a completely different person than me. You came from a different place. You had a different kind of family. Even though we're both men, quote unquote, whatever the politically correct thing to say now, but it's like we're of different ages and like we've been to different places and whatever else. And just to say that, like, I know I'm right. Someone said on there, they're like, you're wrong. And it's like, I'm not wrong. You don't agree. There's a difference.
That's the problem. People don't know that difference anymore. Yeah.
Right. I wasn't saying I'm right. But for you to go, I'm wrong, means you think you're right.
Yeah.
You believe you're right when it's like none of us know a fucking thing. None of us.
That's a fucking fact, man. And I wonder too, you're talking about Roe v. Wade, and we were talking about it before,
Yeah.
you know, but I wonder if this time it'll possibly force a lot of leftists to kind of abandon the Democratic Party. You know what I mean? Because right now the Democratic Party has so much fucking control in the government, and it's like they're supposed to, you know, they play the same game. I mean, they're just the Republican Party, but with a rainbow. You know what I mean?
You know what, dude? When they start gathering without a drum circle, then maybe it'll be taken seriously. Till then, they're not organized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was down at Occupy Wall Street, for example.
I remember that.
And in the beginning, dude, it was, you know, it's a great idea. So, you know, I was behind it. My kind of theme with it was let's reverse the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. So now the Federal Reserve is a part of the government, and we can actually, granted, it's all rigged and whatever else, but at least there would be accountability. We could take them to some kind of court. We could do something. But right now, they can do whatever the fuck they want. They can make all the money they want. They can make inflation, whatever they want. That was my kind of theme with it. But like, eventually those people, they loved me in the beginning, and eventually they kind of were like, eh. And it was because I was sitting there like, hey, look, you want to battle the 1%? Yeah. All right. I'm on board. I want to too. So we're going to have to stop wearing Nike, and we're going to have to stop smoking Marlboro. And I think we might have to stop using Apple computers to put out the message. Like, it's just like, if you really want to battle this,
it's so deep.
Yeah. So like the organization in a way just isn't there. And, you know, in my opinion, on either side, because in the last 2 years, we've seen it on the left and we've seen it on the right, where they've been violent. And I don't necessarily agree, you know, maybe I'm a pussy like MLK, but I do think there are other ways to bring a discussion, at least. You know, the great thing about Colin Kaepernick, it got people talking. A lot of people said dumb shit, but there was some smart shit said, but
they
at least
talked,
they got fucking talking.
Yeah.
And everything's just not talked about. It's all generality.
It's all screams and bullshit.
Yeah.
But I think that's also because so many movements quite often get caught up or you know, taken over by very like liberal, well-to-do white people quite often. And even if you take the white part, it's just very, very like well-to-do people who, you know what I mean?
I would also say eventually you probably get some CIA that go in there and infiltrate and whatever else.
I mean, we can even talk about like, you know, like, I mean, Black Lives Matter right now is going through it, you know, because people are really starting to sit down and be like, where are you spending all this money? We just heard you spent millions of dollars on multiple mansions. Yeah. And, you know, Tamir Rice, like his family is wondering where the money for their charter of Black Lives Matter has went. And
no kidding.
Yeah, they started coming out and like naming people like by name and being like, you guys haven't given justice to my son in any way. Like, it's not just about the cops anymore. It's about awareness. And you have stopped doing that and aiding the people here, because it's not just about the global name. You know what I mean? It's like they're not even funding certain charters in different cities. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of their workers are on the brink of like, you know, poverty. They're paying the money to fund these protests while those people are collecting the money, not giving them any of it. And so I mean, you know, it can trickle down to, you know, Black people too. I mean, greed is the only, you know, that's the commonality in all of human beings, you know what I mean? And no matter what society, that's usually the downfall of most things is greed. And it's
well, again,
greed and ambition.
Again, it's where you aim with your greed.
Yeah.
Like, would you disagree with like being greedy with love?
In some way, because, you know, if you're greedy with love, it could be
instead of giving a handshake, you hug people when you see them. You hug every single person you see, for example.
But that changes
everything.
Some people might argue,
but dude, that will change your life if you stop giving handshakes and put your arms out for a hug. I mean, you'll find out the people that are not on board, then you just let them not be on board.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I'm like, there's some people that would argue that Bill Cosby was greedy with, you know, love. you know?
Right. Well,
You needed all
there's
the
good
love.
and bad. Like you could be
I feel you.
an addict, you know, and you could be on heroin, or you could be a workaholic. Like there's
No,
positive and
You're
negative
right.
addicts, you know?
There's nuance to things, which
Right.
the world doesn't seem to believe in anymore.
Yeah, nothing's definite.
Yeah.
Nothing is definite. I don't know
No,
why people think it is.
no, it's fucking insane, man. I mean, like, you can see how crazy, things go at any time. I mean, even just watching that whole like Chappelle thing was fucking hilarious. Like, did you see that? You saw that video?
Yeah, of course.
Dude just
Yeah,
get the shit
course.
stomped out of him and every fucking
Yeah.
thing, man. I mean, like, what do you think about that? Do you think it's gonna be some like weird, like kind of war, not really war, but kind of this thing of just people needing notoriety, so they're trying to take things to the next level?
I kind of don't think it's anything new.
Really?
It's
Okay.
just, yeah, like, I mean, for example, man, there's stories of comics where audiences have thrown fucking beer bottles and whatever else performing
That's a
in certain
fact.
cities.
But
Like,
it's rare it's ever happened
people
to,
that have, people that have approached the stage a number of times. Like, yeah, but also too, dude, the Dave Chappelle thing only happened once.
That's true.
You know what I mean? That's not like an everyday occurrence. So even these things are rare. Like it's
no
the
one
same
ever asked the
boat.
real question either. Nobody ever asked the real question. How was his set? You know,
Dude,
that
he
determines
continued
motive.
after. He continued after, which I think is pretty fucking baller.
It's
pretty
like, was it like so bad that some dude was like, I gotta shut this, I gotta put him down, or was it just like, I don't like what he's talking about? You know? I joke, I kid.
No, yeah. No, I do think it was premeditated and all of that.
Yeah, no, that he was doing videos about it before.
But you know, but also, may I say, like, even things like there was a fan, I think in '93 or something, maybe I'm off, but stabbed Monica Seles, who was a tennis player. You know what I mean? Like, she was just sitting on a bench. This guy came up, fucking stabbed her like in her back shoulder, whatever. She didn't play tennis for a while. And then like she tried, and she was always scared of fucking
somebody
not being in the court. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. So like, I mean, these things, they have happened. You know, I find it fascinating. If you remember, of course, the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that happens. Fine. But dude, every fucking sports show, sports.
Yeah.
We're doing a piece on every talking head thing was doing like 10, 15 minutes on.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
Yeah, and I don't know. I felt like it was being promoted.
Yeah.
I felt totally like I don't know. And then
that's when we were getting to our Ukraine, era. Right. Like we had just talked about Ukraine, so I think they needed something to cover all of that.
Yeah, but Chappelle, but
more
Chappelle
people didn't care.
But Chappelle was on sports talk shows too.
Yeah.
And when there's things like that bleed in, it makes me wonder. I guess maybe the motive or quote unquote agenda with it. I just found it so fascinating. It really so fascinating.
It really is to distract us from the real harshest things that are like going on in the world. Not to say that those things aren't interesting, like Chappelle getting tackled or Chris Rock getting slapped, but it's like we're on the brink of a possible world war. They're taking away abortion rights and shit like that. There's a million other fucking things happening in the world, and a comedian getting tackled shouldn't be at the forefront of that. Especially because you're right. I didn't really think about it, but yeah, it's like, think it back. It's like, fuck, John Lennon got his fucking head blown off.
Right.
These things happen.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
You're right. You are right.
Right. So it's not, but people there, I feel like there are a percentage of people out there that are acting like, well, this is just some new thing. And again, going back to what we said earlier, I do think it is some of that, the somewhat psychosis of being isolated for 2.5 years and whatever else, I do think there is kind of an element of motherfuckers don't know how to act in public. Like I do think there's an element of that, man. Like you get kind of cocky living with your people.
Only talking to your people. Yep.
Right. So now you got to go out and mingle with people and you kind of have it, especially like up where you were, up in New York there.
It's
like
crazy. Everyone's on top of each other. It's
why I left. I couldn't have done it.
They're about to they're about to
What?
fucking legalize guns out here, like give like allow like fucking people in New York City to have open carry. How psychotic is that? Because I've told people
what,
like
do you need a permit to what is it? Hold and conceal, whatever. Are
you
they
do,
because
but
like
I mean, this
down
is
here
America.
but down here it's permitless. Like you can just have a
You can
concealed
just have
weapon
it.
on you.
That's fucking
Yeah,
insane. I mean,
yeah.
but that's
But I
crazy,
don't
but
know.
it's also
It
a different
hasn't been.
environment.
Right, but it hasn't been.
I get
That's
that.
the thing.
But it's different here because everyone's so completely on top of each other. You know what I mean? And then also New York is the city of hustlers, where it's like, sure, there would be gun shops, but then there'd just be bodegas that also sell fucking have faulty guns like phone chargers.
Certainly.
And they're giving
Like
them away to
fucking-
fucking mentally crazy,
like
unstable
crack
people.
pieces.
Yeah, exactly. Like, truly,
like what's your market?
So into that. And you think every fucking guy that's talking to himself on the fucking subway wouldn't end up just fucking like having a gun? Like I can't imagine like a subway with like 50 people on it, and then like half of them have guns, because that's what everybody's so scared. And New York right now is such a city of transplants that it's like no one's from here, so no one feels comfortable. And they're all from these fucking like posh ass fucking towns, fucking Iowa and this and they never ever seen black people, Hispanic people, nothing like that. They feel weird about it. They're gentrifying the shit, so these niggas don't like them. You know what I mean? So what's gonna happen? Everybody thinks it's like, oh, criminals are gonna shoot each other. They already have access. It's like, no, if criminals just kill each other, that's fine. What's gonna happen is you're gonna have like mad like white girls shooting like 12-year-old black boys.
Oh, hilarious.
You're gonna have that. That's exactly what's gonna happen. That's exactly what's gonna happen.
Let me ask you quick. Is the violence there as bad as it looks on TV?
No. It's not as bad, but I would say it's kind of like how
if something happens, you're dead.
It could escalate.
That's what TV make it looks like. Like something. It looks like if something happens in New York, it's like you're gonna die. Where it's like maybe you get mugged before, you know what I mean? Or like maybe some kids would come up and try to knock you out. But like now it seems like the news shows New York in a way where it's just like they're
chaos.
They're just people.
Like it's the Watts
there's
riots.
a homeless serial killer. There's a fucking there's some guy who jumped a counter and stabbed 2 fucking young people that worked there. There was someone at a Burger King where the guy came in, he got his order, left, came back, just shot her.
Listen, I've been to the Bronx too, okay? But there's good places. I mean, it's kind of like how it's always been. It's definitely a little rougher. I'm not going to lie, because there's less people here. There's less people here. So there's less people on the streets.
Interesting.
There just is, like, especially, bro.
I know there is. There's
during the pandemic, it was crazy. New York with half as many people is fucking eerie,
Yeah. Oh, dude, I loved having that city to myself.
Oh, I loved it too.
The buses were fucking free. You could just jump in the back thing because you didn't want to give the driver COVID. And then like you could go anywhere. You can go anywhere. Lit.
I know.
And there was no one there to ruin it. It was just fucking great. Like I love New York City. Just all the people. It's like
I used to have a joke though. I used to have a joke where like New York City is better with half the people in it. It's better when it's half empty. So I like it. I like it, and it's not. I mean, the danger. Since like, if you're talking about like 2019, the danger has definitely gone up, but it's not like wild. It's not wild, bro. It's not wild by any means.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's probably like how you guys get Texas viewed, where it looks like there's some fucking hate crime or something happening like every hour here.
Yeah, like, of course. And especially too because you're like down south, so they're like look at the north, look how crazy they are.
I will say though, Austin
trans.
I will say Austin is a little different than the rest.
It's a liberal enclave. That's a little. It's
a little bit. Yeah.
It's every guy who kissed a dude lives in Austin.
Here. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. You might be right.
They kissed a guy one time under the moonlight, and then they decided to move to Austin.
They get the fuck out of El Paso. And they moved to Austin.
They're burning crosses.
Named after the guy they kissed.
Yeah. But no, I definitely agree. I mean, I've been to Austin like once or twice, but I was gonna ask you, what does that feel like being down there now with like you're in Rogan country, man. He's kind of taking over. What
It
do you think
is.
about all that
It
shit?
is. I think it's absolutely insane the life I've had when I stop for a moment and really look at some of the things I've been a part of, like being at Woodstock '99, moving to New York City after the towers were down, and there was still that like pretty much a year and a half cleanup, and then watching,
Yeah.
you know, their Freedom Tower go up on the same plot where Building 7 was.
Mm.
And then, but being a part of like that, Occupy Wall Street, dancing on top of a bus in New York City outside of St. Mark's and First Street because there were so many people in the street. Barack Obama just won the election.
That must be
Uh,
nuts.
oh, dude, it was absolute magic. Like regardless of whatever you think of his presidency or whatever
Yeah,
else, we
no,
just
yeah.
talk about that moment. Like, dude, people were just hugging one another.
Oh yeah.
It was just like it was just a wonderful celebration of people, like of just kind of breaking a tradition and kind of showing that, you know what, we may be a little bit more open-minded than we think or tend to
Yeah.
believe about ourselves. And then it's like, and then leaving New York, being there for COVID when it was empty and just going everywhere, dude. I went to Staten Island, dude, just to fucking take the goddamn ferry because it was
Yeah.
running. Like, um, it was amazing. And then to go around the country and like, for example, to be in Tampa when the especially at the time, because you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were in the fucking Super Bowl in Tampa. And it was interesting to see how much they were trying to really push the vaccine and so forth, because like in the sense of when it came to like they wanted
Yeah.
to fill that fucking stadium.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
the huge talk. And then that's where a lot of like the bargaining chips started coming out, where it's like, hey, we'll give you tickets to next year if you pop a fucking thing or whatever. Like, you
Yeah.
know, you get a Tom Brady jersey if you take a jab, and it's just, and that to me, I just found interesting, like making it a Price is Right, like it has to have some kind of spin the wheel aspect in order for people to take it and whatever. I don't know. I just don't agree with that. If it's great for you, then they'll just take it. It
Yeah.
doesn't need
Yeah.
advertising. And to be there for that, like to be in Houston last February or whatever, when the power went out for that week and there was like no water, fucking no gas,
That
nothing
must have been
open,
nuts.
just and there's like a fucking cubic hair of snow on the ground and it can't function. But it was fucking freezing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even like by New York standards, it was pretty fucking
It
cold.
was fucking cold.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And being there for that, and now being in Austin, like you said, at a time when like, fucking Rogan's here, which is like the Johnny Carson of the fucking internet in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
No, you can make people's careers, man.
yeah, without a doubt. And then also having like, Tesla and like the tech worlds here, which I find fascinating because that's something I don't necessarily trust. So it's kind of good to have like my enemies closer in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's like Google and Oracle, and of course Tesla and Elon Musk who just bought Twitter. So
Yeah.
like to be around this energy and like how you're talking about, like so many people left New York, dude. There's so many people that fucking moved here,
Yeah.
and I I think it's fucking gorgeous here. I love the balance of nature and city. I love the fact that I could be downtown and 5, 10 minutes later, like walking at like Lady Bird Lake, whatever this is here,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
be on a trail and there's all these birds and turtles and like it's just fucking it's fantastic, dude. And the people are polite. I mean, after being in New York, someone could tell me to go fuck myself in a nice little southern drawl, and I'd still be like, well, it's a hell of a lot more polite than New York. But
Yeah.
like, but it's just the politeness, and it's nice, dude. It's nice. And at the same time, it does frustrate me a little bit because things are so wonderful here, like economy wise and whatever else. There is this like, I don't think there's this understanding of, because they've been kind of footloose and fancy free down here for a while, where New
Yeah.
York went a while with fucking being locked
No, they
down
really
or
did.
whatever.
They're tough.
Yeah, and like, yeah, so dude, people are just living life, having fun. It's fucking great. So there is no like worry about COVID, even though I did get the cops called on me on McDonald's because I wanted to sit in the lobby,
Really?
which I just thought was weird. Yeah, I was like, what am I doing? There's no one around me. I just want to eat my sandwich.
Yeah.
You know, it's like fucking.
That's the
It's
one
like
thing I
99
can't
degrees
stand
out.
right now. Yeah.
And plus, dude, it's McDonald's, which I guarantee you has killed more people than COVID. Like,
Fuck yeah.
what are we talking about here? I'm eating a fucking Big Mac. It's not like I'm being Mr. Healthy. So let's stop this nonsense of just let me eat this fucking dumb. I'm in a fast food restaurant. I'm in a lobby I bought your food.
Yeah.
Why can't I sit here? You can't, sir. Why? I don't know.
So many arbitrary. I would say actually now you bring that up, that's probably my biggest thing I hate about COVID. The deaths are bad, but not being able to sit inside of a Wendy's or a McDonald's when you buy fucking food, especially up here where it's cold. Like I was working at fucking like Uber Eats. Now I have a different job, but I used to work Uber Eats in the winter. And it's like, your lunch break was the time that you would go in and warm up. And because of COVID, you would just have to buy food. You'd spend like fucking like $15 and have to fucking eat on a park bench in fucking 20-degree weather. Fuck you.
Yeah. I got to go to Boise in like Idaho in like July of 2020. And I went into some restaurant that wasn't the greatest, whatever, but man, it was so awesome to fucking sit in a restaurant
and just feel like
it was just nice. Took a booth. Fuck you to everybody. And and just laid myself out in that booth and had it was kind of a decent meal, but I mean it's still Boise, so you're not getting like some of the food in New York, it's some of the best. So it's like, you can go to some restaurants and whatever, and it's just like absolutely dynamite, and it's got all these
some hole in the wall.
It's
crazy.
But I'm going to some place, they put some biscuits and gravy and some other shit together, and it's like, this ain't that bad. Little barbecue chicken, whatever else.
Yeah, no, it made you care about like the little things. I will say, like the pandemic, it really made you care, and it made you reevaluate, and a lot of other people reevaluate where their lives were actually going to. Which I always felt like was kind of, truly like a gift. That's the one thing I think it stopped, especially for America. Other countries, I think they've had more of a culture of leisure, but in America, there's always this culture of work. And if you don't make enough money, then that's because you're not working hard enough. And you just need to work more and don't think about anything else, like fucking, your kids, you're not hugging your kids enough. Well, you got 2,000 hugs in your bank account. I'm sure I'm sure they'll greet those with open arms. That's how they think of things. So once things kind of really slowed down, I think it was kind of an amazing thing with just people like, what do I actually want to do? Do I even love my wife? Like, what is happening?
It's I mean, it's the way I look at it. And, I've got some stances and beliefs that I fucking live by that isn't necessarily mainstream or
please do tell.
Especially in New York. Well, dude, I've gone throughout this period. I'll tell you what, I will say this. I don't give a shit. I am really proud of the fact that I never took a test. I never took a jab. I never took a booster. And I lived in a car outside doing stand-up in multiple different cities in places that were fucking packed. And I don't know, I didn't kill anyone. There weren't the clubs or whatever never came back to me and were like, dude, the night you were there, we've got 5 people with COVID. You got to check yourself out. Whatever else.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, here it comes.
He says as he's coughing.
Right. But yeah, dude, I never felt ill. There were times that I was tired, perhaps. But yeah. So I don't know. And maybe that's selfish and maybe that's whatever else, and that's fine. I didn't wear a mask a lot of the time, especially after I left New York. And there's a certain kind of mentality I think that comes with that I don't necessarily agree with. And it's not necessarily political as it is more just humanistic, where it's I just think you start putting a cap on potential when you restrict. And I don't know.
I can agree with that.
Like, this was a tough thing. And I kind of felt strongly about it. And there were a lot of people in New York, dude, that fucking completely turned their back on me. And it was people that I marched with at Occupy Wall Street. It was people that loved the stuff when I was bashing Bush. They loved when I would point out and somewhat kind of bash Obama. They really enjoyed when I fucking would bash Trump. They've been on board with me. They've loved my mindset and whatever else. And then this thing came up and it just made people like, you're either this or this.
Yep.
And it's just, no, man, there's a lot of fucking gray out there. There's a lot of fucking gray. And to start calling me Trump supporting Nazi, what was else, gun toting, like there were so many, just all of that being thrown at me. And it was just like, what is this? You're not like, again, we're not having a discussion. You're just trying to go, I'm right and you're wrong. And then when you start seeing as it unfolded, it also kind of altered some of my belief into disbelief in a way, because it's like you hear about how it was started from a bat that was eaten in a market. And then you start hearing about how the NIH, Anthony Fauci, used taxpayer money to fucking fund a lab to fucking make these fucking super germs and whatever else. And that necessarily, like someone like Rand Paul wasn't necessarily out of his fucking mind. Like, I'm not saying he doesn't have issues, but like, you know, there was a guy that was just being bashed for fucking asking Fauci questions that ended up being true. And that's where it's like, well, I don't know if I'm going to jump on board with this, because already it's like going into a relationship where they lie on the first date. And it's like, why am I going to?
And you catch him in it.
Why would I marry you?
And
then but you also marry them and have kids. And it's just like, and then they're a scumbag. And it's like, well, yeah, stupid. You knew that from the fucking get-go. So that I have found fascinating. And the reason why I brought all that up, because it's like, that was something that does kind of define my character, or at least, let me know who I am, at least.
I would say so. I totally agree with you. And I think, definitely when it comes to, the mask stuff and everything, I mean, I abided, but I will say that, however anybody feels about it, one thing that's certain is that conformity is just a trait of both parties. You know what I mean? There's just, no one can, like we said before, there is no nuance to anything. You're one or the other, and that is it. And if you ever try to, play both sides or take one thing from one side and one thing from one side, you're the criminal. You're the piece of shit.
It's like that old Chris Rock joke. It's like that old Chris Rock joke where he's like, I'm conservative about some shit, I'm fucking liberal about some other shit.
And you can't do that now. Like, now they're like, you're a villain. Now they're like, you're fucking terrible. And it's like, I believe that, black people should not get shot by the cops when they get stopped on a routine traffic stop. But I also think that Black Lives Matter should be showing people where they put their money.
Right.
It's like on one part of that sentence, you're gonna have like conservatives fucking love me. On another part of that sentence, you're gonna have liberals fucking love me. And then at the end, they both hate me. So it's like, where are we going from here?
And at the same time, I don't need the love or the hate. It's just like, it's
all being manipulated too.
I don't.
There's so many more people like
you. But I also don't know anything.
Yes.
I just feel
false
like
prophets,
I don't know.
Baby.
Well, I trust my gut. And like, here's the thing: when you're being a scumbag.
Yes.
Like, either you're accepted or you don't.
Yes.
But like you could feel it.
Yes. I've had a lot of experience.
So it's either like, hey, I don't want to feel like that anymore, so I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I think we know more than we're given credit for. I think again, we look to Google to give us answers when like a gut check is really the answer. And
I also feel like there's a lot more people in the middle than the media shows. What they show is two sides fighting. So then it drives the people in the middle to feel some sort of wedge, and then they have to go in one direction.
How many times? How many fucking times do they just? How many times do they show AOC? How many times will they show Mitch McConnell? How many times and how many other representatives do we have? There's like 535 or some shit with 100 in Senate, whatever is in. But yet it's like you watch these sports talk shows, and it's like the Lakers aren't even playing in the fucking playoffs, dude. And there's a segment about the Lakers and what they're going to do. The Cowboys, there isn't even football being played. And there's always a segment on the Cowboys. And it's like the same thing. You're always going to see Nancy Pelosi talk about a thing. You're always going to see AOC because they drive such a reaction from people.
Yes. Yeah.
Compared to, that representative from Kansas. Like, he doesn't make people feel a thing, whether it's, I fucking hate AOC or, oh my God, she's everything. So who knows?
Well, I think a lot of it is,
and they're all scumbags.
Oh yeah, they're all pieces of shit. But I think a lot of it is that they want to drive you to the left or to the right, because if you're in the middle, you'll be able to stop for a second and look and see, hey, neither of these sides are actually doing anything.
The only way, pardon me, the only way a dictatorship can thrive is if we're divided 50-50, arguing about things.
Exactly.
And then, so it's order on a
two-party system was brilliant. If you're talking about just subjugating people,
it really is.
It's brilliant.
It really is, because that's what makes things polarizing. Like, imagine if there was, there are other parties, but let's say, for example, just because
but another party that mattered.
Yeah, I'm just picking this one because they're the third biggest. I don't think it's a huge number, but whatever else. Libertarians, let's say that was a bigger thing. So now when you have something like the vaccines, we have something like the masks, we have something like a BLM, you have something like George Floyd, et cetera, Afghanistan, Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're now getting 3 point of views. So you'll have, I guess, Republicans are like, fuck the mask and give me my gun. And then Democrats, I guess, are like, put on your mask and love everybody, but don't act like that. And then, which is
love everyone, but be a cunt. Yeah.
That's
kind of how liberalism goes. And I'm a liberal, but that is how it goes. It's like, we should love everybody, but if they don't believe what we believe, then we must treat them like shit.
Off with their head.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying about getting like a lot of things getting taken over by like liberal, like affluent, like white people, where it's like, I've seen so many people living in Brooklyn. I have the joke where it's like Bushwick is basically Wakanda for hipster white people. You know what I mean? It's what it is. Like it's become. I'm
kind of glad I'm out of there.
It's become that at this point. But that's really the point of it, where it's like a lot of these people are so aggressive because they came from some town where they were the odd one, they were the odd liberal, this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? And they hated their father or their parents or the way these people thought. But even though they hated that, they were still raised by these people. So they took those tactics of shaming and rage and anger and a lack of nuance and understanding, and then they just took that to Black issues, LGBT issues, all those things. And it's like, yeah, you're not realizing, like, you're allowed to act this way because at the end of the day, if you went missing, niggas would actually look for you. Okay, so you have this sort of entitlement of like what the world is supposed to be doing.
It almost seems like every September there seems to be a white girl missing.
Yes, exactly. And the world follows it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's really what it is, whereas the rest of us know that we don't have to be cared about. We want to be cared about, but we don't have to be. You know what I mean? And so we're trying to compromise and get people to understand things while you're just trying to bulldoze them, and then it just becomes 2 fights between 2 fucking affluent white people, and one's wearing a Yankees cap and one's wearing a Boston Red Sox cap. And, they're all at the same fucking bars. It doesn't matter. It's just 2 teams playing around. Neither of you really have any stake in what's actually going on. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like even that is kind of more white supremacist than just like random dudes like Mitch McConnell and shit like that saying random sound bites and putting it on Twitter. It's like what you're doing, co-opting all these oppressive movements and then putting your face at the top of it and then changing it into what you want is far more white supremacist, I would say.
Well, I think what people misunderstood through all of this is you're not standing for something or somebody. You're standing with.
Yes.
That's the difference. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Like I think that's something that
White Guy of the Year award goes to Tim Warner.
But I think that's what people miss. It's like, dude, I'm not standing up for black people.
Yes.
I am standing with black people.
Yes.
And there is a huge difference. And so my perspective isn't so pompous and arrogant.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where it comes from like, well, I've actually talked with some of my black friends at times, and I've seen their opinions. They've even had me come over to eat. And it's just like you when you start understanding cultures, and it's not just because you know one black person, you know all the fucking black people in the world. Like you gotta go out there and meet a bunch.
No, that's true. Trust me, I know a lot of ignorant motherfuckers who are black as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the problem, where it's like they treat like all different types of oppressed people often like accessories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where these things get muddied, is because you really only like certain types of them. Like, for instance, it's like half of the people marching for George Floyd would have hated that nigga so fucking much. Like, half those white girls with their fucking colored hair and shit would have been walking way faster, would have been thinking the N-word the whole time this nigga was behind them. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like, come on, you would have. I
I
can't tell you how many of them you would have hated that nigga. You hate me, bitch. And I sound like this. You would have hated that nigga.
But that was also, you know, what I think people don't understand about all the white people at the protests. That was basically the club. You know, we were locked down for whatever time. And then all of a sudden it's like, yo, there's bitches at these protests. People coming out in their Sunday's best. You know,
and let's be real, protests have always been like that. You know, people talk about, you know, Woods, like the 60s and the summer of love and this, that, and the third. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people were going to protest, but a lot of people were going to those festivals and shit like that, trying to go for peace. But a lot of people didn't actually believe in that. It was just the first, they were young, and it was the first time they were allowed to be independent, and they wanted to fuck in the mud.
Yeah, you got a lot of boners when you're isolated. A lot of boners, and there's only so much porn. You know what I mean?
Watch,
people probably, you know, I know they make a lot, but I have a feeling there were some people out there that really binge watched every season of Brazzers.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched all of
during the pandemic
and reality.
When there was, and then there was an idea like, hey, dude, we can go outside and not necessarily get arrested because we're gonna defund the cops and we're fucking standing up for black people. So there's gonna be bitches there, dude. We gotta go. Dude.
There's gonna be bitches there. It's probably like a college party. It's like you can't enter this protest unless you got 3 girls with you.
Yeah, I wish there were some things that people. I wish there were some things that people could understand and see with the pandemic. Like I remember, I think I got on a G train one night, and it was literally a fucking bar. Dude, there were like fucking 20 some odd people on it. Everyone had drinks and cups. And
those are the best times in New York City, dude.
And dude, I'm just sitting there like, you know, you go and you watch the TV, and no matter what you watch, if it's Fox, CNN, MSNBC, Young Turks, I don't care, but they're showing you like empty New York, or they'll show the camera shot where they actually got, you know, everyone in the shot is wearing a mask, but they don't have the shots of like moments like that.
Yeah, they never do.
Yeah, you know,
they show you the guy jumping over the counter and stabbing somebody. They don't show you 20 people with a bunch of Four Locos in a subway car partying their asses off.
Like when I was in Boise, for example, right? So they got the pandemic going on. They're kind of being footloose, fancy free with it a little bit, but they were also having an ice shortage because of the fucking fires that were happening in like fucking Western Oregon and whatever else. Oh, wow. And so the venue I was at, Lounge at the End of the Universe out in Boise, Idaho, fucking great place, great owners. I fucking love it there. I think it was like a week or two after I was there, they had it scheduled for a while, but they were doing a I don't know, wherever all the breweries bring their shit and they have kegs, and it's just like, just a lot of beer, a lot of kegs.
Yeah.
So they had to you could only buy 2 bags when you went to a place.
Got you.
So they ended up trying to stock up for fucking 2-3 weeks of just getting 2 bags of ice at this place, going to this place, get 2 bags and whatever else. And it's just on top of, the people dying and, protests and riots and everything else. It's these people also got to worry about things like water and ice. And it's just, and that wasn't even kind of brought up because, I guess it's small news, but it's just, I don't know. It's just really fascinating. And I will never regret that move I made. And as much as New Yorkers were they're not going to fucking jive with you down south and whatever else. And dude, I had some rough times. I will say that. I got booed off stage a couple times, whatever else. Is fucking heartbreaking. But there are also times when, there are also times though when it was just fucking great and magic and wonderful and people loved it,
I mean, Tim, let me tell you, if you're not getting booed every once in a while, you're not doing it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of agree. But they didn't even give me a chance.
Yeah.
That was the thing. They didn't even do it. Honestly, and here's the thing too. It was a black room in Houston. And I was like, black room? Fuck yeah, dude. That's what I do in New York. Most of the fucking people that booked me were black. Most of the audiences I performed for. Especially my last 3-4 years there.
Yeah.
It was of course, give me, a lot of white guys are nervous to do it, whatever else. But I did maybe literally, dude, I did 2 sentences. I must have been up there maybe 30 seconds before someone started saying shit. And then I tried to do another thing. I tried to play off it. And then it was just,
and
all of a sudden I heard a real bass, get off stage, Whitey. And I just set the mic down and I just went. And my buddy, the guy I was with, he went up after me. And I had to sit there through his whole set. And people were just looking at me. I just put my hood up and just fucking sat there until he got done. I was like, can we get the fuck out of here, please? And whatever else. But I had some people turn their back on me in Mississippi, which I don't know, I found interesting. A host and a comic at a fucking mic.
Really?
They literally the dude lit me. I don't even know how I could show you, but he lit me backwards. I can't show you, but he was I'm here. He made the light like this.
That's fucking ridiculous.
He lit me like this and whatever else. And the whole New York thing and whatever, what are you doing down here in fucking, I think I was in Huntsville. Alabama or wherever the fuck. Yeah, dude.
Well, the New York thing's always interesting with comics because it's I will say some people they hear you from New York, sure, they'll be like, oh, that's cool. But most times when you go to another city and you say you're from New York and you're not a big name, they're kind of trying to check you and be you're not as good as you think you are.
And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that LA fucking Hollywood kind of residue here.
I can see that.
So, there's a lot of people having a conversation with you, but they're looking behind you to see if they can find someone more popular to talk to.
Well, also that super kind of yuppie-ish, it has a lot of yuppie kind of people and shit like that. And just I don't know, weird shit. I like to be
techie, the techie kids, but you also got UT here. There you go. I mean, Christ, dude, they just had that South by Southwest, which is nothing but fucking tech. I don't know, tech and crypto and whatever else. It seemed a little frightening.
No, it's pretty crazy. I mean, let's change the subject here because I kind of wanted to talk about this too because I've been into this stuff. What do you think about the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing? Are you caught up on that? Do you know anything about it? There's a lot of
here. All right, I'll tell you what I know, and it's not much. Okay. I see a lot of people posting, but I don't clickbait it.
That's good.
So here's the only thing I know. I have a friend of mine that I've known since high school, whatever. I don't know. I don't want to say too much because it's his life, but he's had a couple difficult divorces or whatever. And he's also like a father. And when it comes to like custody of kids and so forth. And he's into it because it kind of shows that like women could be the abuser.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, I read the Stanhope thing he wrote about it, but that's about as much as I know. I'm not trying to. I don't know. I'm not trying to fall for like pooping in bed and she likes anal and all of that because I don't think that's really important to any of it.
Yeah.
Like, at the main issue is this bitch trying to fucking defame his name in a sense? Is that what's happened?
That's exactly what's yeah.
Right. And all this other stuff, it's just, I don't want to say smoke and mirrors, whatever, but I don't their sex life and things like that. I don't know. It's just what is she trying to fuck him up? Is she trying to take all his shit? And if that's the case, then this could be a somewhat maybe historic thing for men in a way.
Well, that's what I think is so kind of interesting because it's like right now, because, obviously we had the Me Too movement and stuff like that, which definitely needs to be done. I mean, there are a lot of like super fucked up people and, dudes need to be called out through the proper channels, personally, I think. But if you got to get the job done, you got to get the job done somehow, and that's cool. But I feel like there was kind of this tipping point that's kind of still going on now where it's just like, someone, you won't even have the person's name, like a newspaper won't even have the person's name or anything like that. No identifier, and it'll just be some outrageous thing. And it's not to say that person couldn't have done that, but it's also just this kind of constant question of like, you only believe women, you believe 100% of everything that they say. And it's like, women are people too, and people fucking lie and say shit. And like each person on earth is different. And that's why I think it's so interesting because like, like I told you before the podcast, I talk a lot about hip hop, and that's why it's kind of interesting because if you pay attention to hip hop, it's like, you have the Johnny Depp thing on the outside more in the mainstream, but the two, other things are, the Will Smith thing with Jada Pinkett, where he's just getting emotionally abused for years. And people think it's funny and cool. And then you have the whole thing of Tory Lanez, who I don't know if you're aware of that rapper, but there's
I live in a car. I missed that.
Yeah, that's fair. Although I would think if you live in a car, you would like somebody named Tory Lanez.
That is true. That is true.
That'd be the only rapper you listen to. But he's going through it because during the pandemic, he was accused of shooting this female rapper Megan Thee Stallion, who's like super famous. I mean, she's from Texas actually. She's huge, mainstream and everything, and she got shot in the foot, and then she said that he did or whatever. And for a long time, everybody was believing it, including me. And then a lot more things came out where like it's kind of apparent that her friend might have actually shot her by accident, and they just blamed it on him. And there's a lot of shit. And this dude's completely, he's like internet made, so he's completely independent, but sorry, my cat's a liberal.
It's great.
But but that's I think this trifecta of things of like seeing like, oh wow, things might not be the way that everybody says they are, I think is in a way kind of good because it'll open up more of a discussion, hopefully, of all this type of stuff. So I don't know. What do you think? Hopefully. You think it'll? Yeah, you're like no. Your face is like no.
Well, no. Well, first of all, me in the sense of like, if everybody's jumping on board, I'm usually going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. So like, all right.
And you got to tread lightly. I know,
Yeah, I see your
stance. Talk about this stuff.
Yeah, no, I see your stance, but I think people are going to be talking about the poop.
Yeah, that's true. But as long as they're talking about her shitting in his bed and not,
certainly,
that's fine.
But I don't know if it's going to have, because like you said, the whole Will Smith and Jada thing now, it's fucking laughable.
Yeah.
Like it's become where it's just like, dude, it's, I don't know. I've been writing a chunk on like toxic relationships, and I just find it fascinating. We stay in them. because we think they're comfortable. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
It is. It's so insane. And it's just like, dude, just go. No one's
yeah,
going to think less of you. Just
exactly.
go.
And there is
You
that
know?
part of
He's got
like,
a fucking Tupac dildo. Like, just
yeah,
come
yeah,
on.
just fucking leave, man.
You know?
I think in some weird way, like I'm definitely not like a men's rights guy. I don't watch Alex Jones, but there is, like, at least on the internet, kind of like this weird war kind of like on masculinity. Like there kind of is, like, where it's just like I feel like so many dudes, because men, I think we're used to having we most of us have been through a physical altercation or something like that. So most of us don't really want conflict because we know how it goes. So even on a small scale, when something's happening so large in society, we're just like, we totally agree, but shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, I totally disagree with this, but I don't want the trouble for my girlfriend of having to argue with her about it. So I'm just going to act like this is totally and utterly fine. And I don't know. I just wonder how things are going to go. Like Kevin Samuels, who is like a big like relationship guru and stuff like that in the Black community, but he was pretty mainstream as well too. He just passed away, and he gets in trouble definitely for, people say he disparages Black women, but if you watch the whole episodes of the things, number one, they're the ones calling into him. They're huge fans of him, and he's just being honest. Like there'll be some fat chick who's like 400 pounds, you know what I mean, and she'll be like, I only want somebody who looks like Idris Elba, and it's like, well, men don't value how much money you have. You got to be a good person, and you got to be, good looking, and you're not. So step that up. Like, but when he died, like people were like laughing about it, like rejoicing, like so much, like it's to the point where it's like ridiculous. So that kind of even goes back into the old point I was saying about the internet, of just like how just insidious and just like fucked up it can be.
Well, certainly do. I mean, but with all due respect, we're literally in a country that is live streaming dementia.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's
they are literally doing. How else is it? We're watching this guy mentally crumble before us. And if you've ever had or known anyone, I've not had, but if you ever known anyone that had dementia, dude, it's not a pretty thing to watch and kind of be a part of. And the fact that they're literally, I love saying that, but yeah, live streaming dementia. It's and it seems like, I don't know, it's becoming laughable.
Because I agree.
I don't know if it's because it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, America was so open-minded that we had the first vice president that's a fucking retard.
Yeah.
So if the way that this guy is, it's like, well, I don't want the retard in. Yeah. So hopefully, but it's not pretty, man. And it's you get numb to it.
Yeah, you do.
Because you see it so much. And I don't think it's necessarily good to see the president of the United States dwindle.
Yeah.
Like, it's not I don't know how it gives us self-esteem as a whole.
Yeah.
Where you can really poke your chest out and be like, you know what, man, America's doing it right. Like, dude, I voted third party almost every single time, except for in 2008, I voted for Obama. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I'm third party. I'm very pro third party. But this is really bad. And I thought everything was supposed to be better when Trump got out.
Yeah. And it's
like,
and it's
that
really
was
not.
The big, like, let's get him out. All right, let's get him out. All right, everything's supposed to be better. And nope. Dude, it's not like Biden's been president for fucking 3 years, whatever, even though it feels like it's been 3 years. But I don't want to make it a Republican Democrat thing. I want to make it a person. I've never seen this in my lifetime. Reagan had dementia towards the end and whatever else, but I've never seen what seems like a forced demolition of the American economy. I don't know how else to explain it.
Well,
I don't know.
It's truly nuts, because it's just like with Trump, it had its own bullshit, but America for so long has had, its basic like democratic, politics bullshit. And it felt like when Trump got elected, they just pressed pause. And then when he was, gone, they just pressed play again. It's like, all right, we're back to our same fucking tricks of the same shit. It's the same structure. We lied to you. We were acting as if we got rid of him, we'd be trying to do something different, but we truly are not. And this is what it is. And if you don't agree with it, then you're gonna have to kill yourself, or take to the streets, and then we'll kill you. You know what I mean? And then, and that's truly like all that it is. I mean, like someone like Joe Biden, he's the reason why someone like Bernie Sanders doesn't get elected, and it's like Bernie Sanders, he has his ups and downs, but I actually really like
he's
the guy.
A fall guy.
He's definitely a fall guy. He's just somebody who gives the youngsters hope, and they dangle him in front of you, and then they take him away, and they put the old person who doesn't give a shit.
Right.
But they already have your vote because you don't want this guy over here.
Right.
So they just give you the lesser of the two evils. That's really all the fuck it is. And it's kind of like it's just it's such a shame. I mean,
dude, it's you just said it. It's in the language. Like, we're at a point where we vote for the lesser evil, or what's the other one? I gotta pick the better poison. And it's like, what, dude? It's fucking poison. Why can't we pick a medicine? Why is that not an option? How are we? How? I don't know, man. How do you have fucking 26 Democrats sitting around in 2020 trying to get the Democratic nomination, and not one of them were fucking cool? Not one of them like got it. Not one of them. How have we gotten to the point? Like, I'm sorry. People can say America's dumb and blah, blah, blah. I do not think we are this dumb. Like,
it's a narrative that they
got to
push.
be rigged. They got to be rigged and put these people in, because it's just like, dude, this is, I guess, the better poison. That's a terrible mindset when it comes to voting for a leader. Like, even that idea, I don't like voting for a leader. But since we do that, I could sit here and bitch and complain, and also, dude, I don't necessarily know what the solution is.
I know. And that's
it's so deep. It's like a tooth, that's really like that fucking root.
Dude, it's
now,
impacted.
It's just, man.
You gotta like cut into the real solution is just destroying the whole thing and starting back up from nothing. Yeah. But we're so far gone that
I don't think you could do that.
I don't think you could do that either. And I think it's just we're in a very, very weird place. I mean, like, even again with Biden, it's like, he's been dangling this whole student loan thing for God knows how long. And the only reason he's kind of possibly buckling on it is because enough people are calling him out on it. But it's like, he made a promise, and then it was like, oh, actually, I'm not forgiving any of it.
I will say this, a thing that's kind of opened my eyes. Like, I don't know how much of the border thing you see and whatever else. But that shit's real, man. When it comes to like the amount of motherfuckers that are just coming in this country, and then also the ones that are fucking drowning, trying to go across like the Rio Grande, I think it is, or whatever else. Like, and they don't come down here. It's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts that where are we now? 15, 16 months maybe, that I think she had one visit. Coppola there had one visit, and it was to a place that was like made to look perfect. Yeah. And then, but she didn't go to like the areas where it's like, actually the numbers are really high here. Like, you went to a place that doesn't have that much action. Yeah. Things like that really opened my eyes to just, I don't know.
But what do you think about the immigration situation? You know what I mean? Like in that, because I understand what you're saying. So many people.
I don't care if you want to come here, but I do think you have to come here through the process. You can't just come here and then it's like you're here, you're not credited, you're not like, I don't know. I don't mind if people come here and want to come here. I get it, but I think you would have to go through a process, like how you enroll into college. something like that. Like you're enrolling into a country. That's all. Come on in. Come on the fuck in. I'm not against that, but dude, just diving in here, like there's so many things. I mean, if you look at like a person, let's say a person costs this much, right? Or makes this much revenue or whatever. And this person is this. But if you don't know, like if your numbers are off, dude, your business, your economy, things are going to be off.
Yeah.
You know? So and if it was like, you know, I don't know, dude, if it was like 50 or whatever else, you can kind of go, well, all right, maybe the security down there, the border patrol, maybe they're a little weak, like the fact that these 50 got in, but it's fucking hundreds of thousands, dude. Like it's pretty nuts. And I don't know if it's necessarily like the Fox angle of drugs and cartels and rapists and there's always a percentage, you know. I do think
there's always a few bad apples.
Right. I do think some of them may be coming here to try to get a better life, perhaps. Or maybe, you know, I'm not against the notion of like they see Biden being fucking weak as shit. So now they think it's the perfect time to come here because no one's going to do shit. This guy, it's Weekend at Bernie's. Like it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
You know, he had an Easter bunny, dude. Fucking cart him off. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. I think, truth be told, I think Kamala is slowly poisoning him to death. Just a little bit of arsenic every day. She has her eyes on the presidency. Like, he's not making it 4 years.
Dude, Jill's hanging out with him a lot. Like kind of like being a guy. Hey, really? Wave at people. Oh, I got to wave. Yeah. Like I've noticed that started to pick up. Like she went over to Ukraine recently. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, president's wife, what's it doing?
Yeah.
But I just noticed that like she's kind of, I don't know. I'm not saying she's taken over or anything, but I definitely think like, you know, I guess she's a doctor and it seems like maybe she's fucking kind of being a handler.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, we saw it with Nancy Reagan. I mean, you know, that's the whole thing too, you know, so these things do happen. And I think that's an interesting subject you bring up because I think really it's been too long where people haven't talked about how the elderly in this country seem to be the ones running it. You know what I mean? And how out of touch, not the elderly and the affluent and how that throws things off, you know?
Well, I do think like example in Houston right now, kind of what's happening in Houston is there's kind of becoming a battle and transfer in a sense of old and new money, where like some of that old money is dying off now,
and the tech money is coming
new money, right? And new money's coming in. So like, there's kind of a battle right now that's like kind of happening in Houston, and it's just a change. It's again going up from Neanderthal to Cro-Magnon.
Though.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, those hearings with Facebook and, you know, all those old politicians were asking Mark Zuckerberg shit. He's talking circles around him, you know?
Right. But it's really going to fuck with this generation, though, when they get older and they think they got this great mindset and like people should be like this and we should act like that. And, you know, fucking, you should pick your gender at 5 and whatever else. And what's going to happen is, a generation from now, or maybe a generation and a half, they're going to end up hating you for your thoughts. And they're going to call you a racist. And they're going to call you a sexist. And they're going to call you possibly homophobic or whatever new words that come up. Because, like, I don't know, times change and whatever else. But you were getting that transfer of like that older generation and that certain mindset is leaving. Which I do kind of think it's better, but I do worry about the direction we're going.
I do, but I also feel like the tech world is a bit too unregulated, almost like the Industrial Revolution when it first happened, where it's like, let's put kids in the factory. Fuck it. You know what I mean? And all that type of shit. And it's because a lot of these old people don't necessarily understand too much of technology. You know, and they just like money that's coming in. So they're just like,
but you also get to an age and a point where it's just like, hey, you know what? I don't want to learn anything new.
Yeah. Yeah.
in those regards, where it's like, no, I don't want to use a cell phone. I'll just use landline for as long as I can. I don't want to use email. Like I'm fine with this. You've been
Yes.
doing it for 30 years. So it's like there is that kind of aspect. It's like when someone tells me they want me to watch some show. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to watch the show. I'm not watching 5 seasons of whatever you like. I'm not doing it.
So is like gay marriage the new Ozark? You know what I mean? Where it's like I'm not into this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like it's on.
Yeah.
It should be on. Who cares if it is? I'm not going to watch it. But have at it.
Yeah.
And that's gay marriage.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to get involved yet. Who knows? Maybe I will get lonely enough some point where I'll be like, fuck it, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, who cares? It doesn't affect me. So let them do it. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
Hand job in a car. I mean, what's the fucking worst? I don't understand. What? It's not like they're going to be producing like gremlins. You pour a water on a queer, and then there's like fucking 58,000 of them. I don't know. It's just some of these things. Sometimes it's just like, who cares, man?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like the only reason you would care is what? Does it upset you because you didn't do that?
Also, population control.
Now it's legal, and you're like, fuck! I married this woman, had kids with her, didn't really want to, because gay thing was illegal, but now that it's legal, so now when I see a gay couple, I get upset because it reminds me of what I fucking didn't do, which was just suck a dick. I should have just is what I should have done, and I'm mad at me. It's just weird sometimes.
Yeah, no, I feel that, man. It is, man. This it's a crazy world we're in, man. But I'm glad we're allowed to podcast during it, because this shit needs to be fucking documented.
It's the greatest time to be alive.
It's the greatest fucking thing in the world. Yo, Tim, we've
this is like 20 hours.
Yeah, we've been doing it a while. So I think we're gonna sign off here and everything. Where can people see you?
Oh, YouTube. The Tim Warner Show. It's on Spotify, fucking, I don't know, whatever. We put it on Brussels sprout, and then it goes to a bunch of things. So it's in a lot of places. But it's the Tim Warner Show featuring my comedy buddy out here in Austin, Robert Tabbitt, very funny man, and just an all around great guy. And that's where you can find me, dude. And whatever else, we do skits and like interviews, and we talk about shit. We punch it up and whatever else. It's a lot of fun. It's a great show. I really enjoy doing it, and we're early on, so it's only going to get better.
Guys, I've seen the show too, by the way, and it's great. I know you're going to love it, so make sure to check out his YouTube channel as much as you can, because YouTube, that's where creators get the most response, and honestly the most revenue if things go well. So please support his YouTube. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe. Put on those notifications for the new episodes. Hook a brother up, because I love this guy, and I can tell after listening to this episode, you guys are going to love him too. Tim, thank you so much.
Thanks for the time, dude. It was great seeing you. It was great. We got to do this again. Not necessarily a podcast, but we got to talk like once a month, once every other month, some shit like that.
Hell yeah, and we'll definitely hang out. But
indeed,
this has
brother.
Good to see you too, man. All right, guys, this has been the False Prophets podcast with Phil Riston. I am Phil Riston. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Thanks again, buddy.
Hell yeah.